So, hey, guys, I'm here with Director Joe Berlinger and very honored to be here with Jason Baldwin, who is a young man who has been freed from prison only since August of last year and is the subject of three of Joe and his collaborator Bruce Sinofsky's documentaries about what's called the West Memphis Three. So, Paradise Lost 3 is going to be out shortly. And Jason, first, tell us how you doing. How's it been?
I'm doing wonderful. People have been so generous and kind to me since Joe's first documentary came out. But since I've been free, I've been living with close friends. They've been taking care of me, making sure I have clothes, food to eat, and just spending time being free, seeing friends and family, and just enjoying what it means to be free.
Explain just for a moment, if you would, that what we were talking about earlier, which is that you were freed on almost like a kind of plea deal with the state of Arkansas. This,
the Alfred plea.
Right.
The Alfred plea arrangement.
So, which means that you're not actually exonerated. You're not able to get money from the state for having imprisoned you unjustly for how long? 17 years or 18 years?
18 years. 18 years. Change. It was really a horrible thing that the state did and continue to do through the Alfred plea. They shouldn't have done that. They should have just looked at the evidence and dropped all charges against us and reopened the case. That was the right thing to do, just thing to do. That was what would be in accordance with their vows as public services for justice. But they chose instead to make us take this Alfred plea so that we couldn't sue them, so that they could say that we're guilty and they have the right guys all along, which is wrong. Anybody with any sense that looks at this case, looks at the evidence of this case, can see for themselves that
It's basically a rarely used legal maneuver that is designed, in this case, to cover the state of Arkansas's ass. They've pled guilty to lesser charges, right from capital murder to first-degree murder. The state, while maintaining their innocence, the state then sentences them to time served, which is the mechanism for them getting out of prison. But it means there's no prosecutorial accountability for all the bad decisions that were made on this case over 18 years.
So this case is really
they have no ability to sue.
Right.
And
so there's a certain amount of so the case doesn't feel like it's closed in a certain sense because
it's a very bittersweet conclusion to their incarceration, but the story continues. And the worst thing is if you're a parent, if you're a parent of a victim, basically the state of Arkansas is telling you we're not going to go out and find the real killer.
Right.
And that's the biggest tragedy of all, because there's a killer or killers who have gotten away with murder.
So, so many of us remember your first film about this, Joe, Paradise Lost. It debuted at Sundance in 1996. It's a long time ago. The murders themselves took place in 1993. Is that correct?
Murders in 93.
But it's such an amazing journey. I mean, what has this taught you? First of all, I have to just give you credit, you and HBO, for having the determination to continuing to pursue this case until the Jason and his two teenage friends were freed. But what has this taught you about the power of filmmaking?
Well, when we started the Paradise Lost saga, we actually thought we were going down to make a film about guilty teenagers, because that's what the local press reports were. And when we got down, met these guys in prison, did our first interviews, dug into the evidence, we realized it wasn't a story of bad guys gone awry, but a miscarriage of justice. And that kind of lit a fire in Bruce and I, where we just pledged that we would continue to make films about these guys until they got out. We never dreamed it would take 2 decades, but rarely do you see in this business such a tangible outcome. These films really helped create this kind of worldwide movement of people who just all came together in a very special way. I think, look, the films inspired a lot of people to affect change. I don't want to overcredit the films either, because I think the tens of thousands of people who came together and the many thousands of generous acts by a lot of people is what came together and brought these guys the relief that they needed.
Well, Jason, what did it mean to you to have Joe in your life from that time?
Well, when I first met Joe, I did, it was for the film, right? Come there filming the film, filming us at trial. I had no idea that it would turn into something that it turned into, that it would be able to show the world what was happening to us. I mean, it made possible. Joe said it wasn't everything. The films weren't everything, but they're what shed the spotlight on the case. They're what made it possible for people to see what had happened to us. If they hadn't done that, no one
Hotel
would have
management would like to speak with you.
ever heard about it.
Wait.
One second.
I'm sorry. Hotel management would like to
Okay,
speak with you.
and I guess we'll be concluding. Okay.
Do you have permission to be filming in the topic now? Otherwise,
Okay. All right. Well. Thanks, Jason.